under normal circumstances, I wouldn't necessarily agree with Rand Paul in this position, but I'm almost there. And Rand Paul, who is at this point angrily yelling at Fauci, I mean, like losing it, like shaking his fist at Fauci. Rand Paul, in this very specific instance, I can't say what they were talking about for the rest of the hearing, but in this specific instance, I actually think Rand Paul has the better point. Because, like I've said before, as more people get vaccinated, as those numbers of people who die or get infected, as those numbers go down, the power of Fauci and scientists to make decisions, to have agency, to influence the administration also diminishes proportionally with it. Because when you don't have 5,000 people dying, and you need to have other matters like the economy and people who want to get out, you have vacation spots, you have all that stuff that goes on from the standpoint of the political class. Science is just one. And Fauci, and what Fauci wants, depreciates the less Fauci is needed. And Fauci was needed greatly, at least from the government's point of view, when 5,000 people were dying. What happens when it's less than 1,000 a day? And what happens when that number continues to precipitously drop? Fauci's agency, Fauci's need, and Fauci's decision-making capacity, and whether or not those decisions are even listened to, will go down. Think of it this way. The moment that you have half of the population that wants to get out, because that population has been vaccinated, you are going to have difficult time on your hands keeping those people indoors, keeping those people wearing masks, especially after those people get vaccinated and they believe that the vaccinations are there to keep themselves safe. If you had, I don't know, 80% of the population that believes, okay, fair enough, I can get sick, I can make somebody else sick, I don't like to be in the house, I don't like to wear the mask, but at the very least I get it because there's a rational reason for me to do it that I absolutely get. My health is at risk. What happens when half of that number gets vaccinated? And they're getting vaccinated explicitly so they will not get COVID, so they can leave the house, so they can go to restaurants, so they can go to the gym, so they can get their hair did, so they can get their feet did without necessarily having to wear a mask. I'm telling you, when you have more and more of those people that do that, they're not going to want to wear the mask. They're not going to want to stay in the house. They're going to want to go out when the weather is nice. And you're going to have a problem on your hand keeping those people wearing that mask or keeping those people indoors. Mark my words. So when Rand Paul is having a conversation with Dr. Fauci here, well, in this very specific instance, this is not 5,000 people dying. And this is Rand Paul kind of making a point like, if people have gotten vaccinated, why do they need to continue to wear the mask? And he is making the point to Fauci that you want those people to wear the mask for reasons of theater, not science. Now, if Rand Paul made the argument that wearing masks is theater, then I would say Rand Paul is full of shit. There's all sorts of studies that back up the premise that masks reduces the rate of people getting COVID-19 from 40 to 70%, depending upon the study, depending upon the location, depending upon the person, depending upon whether or not touching the face, all sorts of stuff. But 40 to 70%. And I would say Rand Paul is full of shit here making this argument. But Rand Paul's argument is a little bit more subtle than that. His point is, when people get vaccinated, they're protected. On the whole, they're protected. Yes, there's like a 90% efficacy depending upon the vaccine. So that 10% or whatever that percentage is there. But all things being equal, 9 out of 10 times that person is safe. So why are you continuously telling the person that they need to wear a mask? It's theater. Now, if that person who has that virus is not safe, meaning if that person who has that vaccine is not safe, why did they get the vaccine in the first place? Rand Paul is not entirely wrong here. There's a logic to it. Let's hear him out. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, and subscribe. You can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. This content is brought to you by you, and I appreciate you the opportunity or allowing me the opportunity to do it. So there's a Senate hearing over COVID-19 pandemic. And at this Senate hearing, Rand Paul goes after Dr. Fauci. Now, this took place recently. This is like an hour ago.
Problem.
And he lays into Fauci on this point. Now, the thing is, I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong. Like I said, at a certain point, there is this period where as more people get vaccinated, as less people are filling the hospitals, as less people are sick, as less people are getting the virus in the first place, as that number goes down, so does Fauci's power. Or for that matter, the scientists. Think of it as you have scientists in the room, you have a political class in the room. You have 5,000 people dying a day. The government needs to associate itself with the science, because if they don't, the people are going to say, what do you mean you're not listening to the people that know what's going on? So Fauci would get a prominent role. Other scientists would get a prominent role. The CDC, the recommendations, those things will be taken to heart, because at that point, it's a medical choice. Yes, the politician is agency, but basically that agency is allowing the scientists to give the best advice for them to pursue that course. As the numbers go down, though, there's an intersection where it becomes a political choice, where it's no longer just, it is clear that this is a medical choice. It becomes, all right, we need to start making plans. We need to start figuring out what we're going to do after the virus, how we're going to get the economy back up and running, how we're going to make people whole who were damaged by it, how we're going to deal with the protests that are going to come from people being pissed off and in deprivation or deprivation for all that time. There's questions that need to be answered politically. And at a certain point, that takes the dominance. And so Rand Paul, who's at this point saying, why the hell are you telling people they're going to have to wear a mask 3 years out, is not entirely wrong. Let's play it. You listen, make your choice for yourself.
You're defying everything we know about immunity by telling people to wear a mask to have been vaccinated. No. Instead, you should be saying there is no science to say we're going to have a problem from the large number of people being vaccinated. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they can quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. People don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it.
Well, let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Masks are protective.
That's not what he said. That's what I mean. That's not what he said. So Fauci went on TV a while ago, and when asked about how long would this last and everything else, he's talking about well into the next year that people are still going to be wearing masks even after getting vaccinated. Now, I was horrified by that clip. I have been an advocate for people to wear masks from the beginning. I've been a true believer. I have fought and held that wall for the entire time, especially since I know people who have had to deal with this stuff going from the very beginning. Masks, gloves, those things were in lack. I have been an advocate for people basically following the science on this stuff. And so for me to turn around and be like, well, yeah, at a certain point, it's not science anymore, like talking about, it's the politics. And the politics of this is you have to restart the society at some point. And people who are going to get vaccinated are getting vaccinated so they can live their life. Period. That's the entire point of getting the jab. It's like, yes, I don't want to get sick, but I don't want to get sick and I want to get back to my life. And if you're telling me that after getting the jab, I still have another year that I have to wear those fucking masks and potentially be leery of, no. If the person gets the jab, they're giving the jab because you're telling them they're going to be safe. If you tell them, okay, after 2 weeks, you'll be free to go, then they should be free to go. How do you make the argument that, yes, you need to get the jab and you need to wear the mask? His argument is based on the jab and the mask. He didn't say that the masks were ineffective. He said that the overwhelming majority of the people would be safe, and that's true. If you have a 90% efficacy on a vaccine, at least that's what it's supposed to be, then 9 times out of 10, the individual that gets the jab should be safe, at least from a logic standpoint. Is it possible that there's a 10% chance that the individual can get it? Yes. Is that sufficient for them to have to wear the mask? No. No. I'll replay it. I want to give him a fair shake.
You're defying everything we know about immunity by telling people to wear a mask to have been vaccinated. No. Instead, you should be saying there is no science to say we're going to have a problem from the large number of people being vaccinated. You want to get rid of vaccine hesitancy? Tell them they can quit wearing their mask after they get the vaccine. Okay. You want people to get the vaccine? Give them a reward instead of telling them that the nanny state's going to be there for 3 more years and you got to wear a mask forever. People don't want to hear it. There's no science behind it.
Well, let me just state for the record that masks are not theater. Masks are protective. And we
have immunity there, theater. If you already have immunity, you're wearing a mask to give comfort to others. You're not wearing a mask because of any science.
I totally disagree with you.
You disagreed and you set back because there was nothing else to say about it. How's he wrong? You get an immunity, and by the way, Rand Paul is a doctor. You get immunity, you get a shot, and they say, okay, you got to get 2 jabs. Okay, got the jab. Got to get 1 more. Got the jab. And they say after 2 weeks, you're going to have immunity from COVID. You may feel crappy a little bit over a day or so, but in 2 weeks, you'll be good. And you say, great. And you wear your mask, you social distance, and after 2 weeks, you even give it an extra week. And then you see Fauci saying, you still got to wear your mask. I don't want to wear that mask. I want to go out. I don't want to have to social distance. I don't want to have to do those things. And I feel like if I got the jab, I shouldn't have to do those things, because what was the point in me getting the jab if I still have to behave as if I didn't get the jab? If indeed the vaccines work, if indeed the vaccines aren't chicken soup and some other kind of chemical, then the 90% efficacy or 85% efficacy, if you're talking about one of the other ones, if that is true, then at least by my understanding, 85% of the time I should be safe. I'll take those odds. And I would have wagered to you that other people will also take those odds as opposed to wearing a mask. If indeed immunity is what they say it is, then 9 times out of 10, the person with the vaccine, dependent upon the vaccine, should be safe. I don't understand Fauci's argument here. Rand Paul is saying you want these people to wear this stuff for the reasons of theater. And he's saying, no, masks aren't theater. No, sir, it's not that the masks are theater. I'm saying you want them to wear it for theater. If those people are indeed immune to the COVID-19 virus after they get the shot, why do they need the mask? The masks at that point are theater if 9 times out of 10 they won't get the virus. Now, Fauci is trying to argue that the 10 times or the 1 time out of 10 those people would be protected for. He should say that. I want to hear him say that. I want to hear him make the argument that yes, 9 times out of 10 people are protected, but there's always that 1. And you got to fight even for that 1. You got to go down fighting for that 1. I want to hear Fauci make that argument, because that's what I think Fauci is saying. Yeah, I think Rand Paul is right on this. At a certain point, it becomes politics. And he's not saying that masks don't work. That's not what he's saying at all. He's saying that the person got vaccinated, the person should be able to go about their day without wearing those goddamn masks. Going into the nanny state stuff, that's just kind of, natural for libertarians. But I don't think he's wrong on this. I'm going to say like, I'm going to say share, and I'm going to say subscribe. He got pretty pissed on this. I don't think he likes Fauci. I think Republicans got a hard on against Fauci for some reason. But yeah, I guess. Like, share, subscribe.